It started with a scream that no one could forget. A young teacher, Miss Emily Carter, lay on the cold hallway floor of Lincoln High, her breath shallow, her hands trembling as the world faded into darkness. She had dedicated her life to teaching kids who needed guidance, who needed someone to believe in them. But one afternoon, that kindness was repaid with cruelty when a group of bullies cornered her after class. Their taunts turned into shoves, the shoves into strikes, and before anyone could intervene, she collapsed, slipping into a coma that would hold her between life and death. What no one expected was that a single father, a veteran named Jack Miller, would be the one to change everything. Jack wasn't just any parent. He had served in the military for over a decade, carrying the weight of war on his shoulders. Now raising his daughter alone, he taught her respect, resilience, and courage, values he noticed missing in too many of the kids at that school. When word spread about Emily, the same teacher who had once comforted his daughter when she was being teased, Jack couldn't stay silent. He walked into that school with a fire in his chest, demanding answers, demanding justice, and demanding change. But the truth cut deeper than he imagined. The bullies weren't just bad kids. They were enabled, ignored by teachers, dismissed by administrators, protected by a system more worried about reputation than responsibility. Jack's jaw clenched as he saw the principal brush off Emily's attack as a tragic misunderstanding. That's when he decided he wouldn't back down. He gathered other parents, veterans, and community members who were tired of watching the strong hurt the weak. He told them, "I fought wars overseas, but now we fight one right here. We fight for our kids, for their future, and for people like Miss Carter who stood up for them when no one else would." Days passed. Emily's mother, Margaret, sat at her daughter's hospital bedside, holding her limp hand, whispering prayers through tears. She had watched Emily grow into a young woman with dreams of shaping lives, and now those dreams hung by a thread. Margaret was a quiet woman, but a mother's love can shake the world. When she returned to the school, she didn't come to plead, she came to demand. Standing in the auditorium full of parents, teachers, and students, she looked straight at the administration and said, "You failed my daughter. You failed these kids. And I won't let you sweep this under the rug." Her voice cracked with fury and pain, but her words ignited something powerful. Jack stood beside her, his presence steady, like a soldier ready to shield her from the storm. Together, they rallied the community. They organized meetings, exposed the negligence, and shared Emily's story everywhere they could. Students who had once been silent found their voices. Parents who had been afraid to speak stepped forward. Even teachers, scared of losing their jobs, began whispering the truth. Margaret's pain had become a weapon, and Jack's strength turned it into a movement. Weeks later, when Emily finally opened her eyes in that hospital bed, the first thing she saw was her mother's tearful smile and Jack's steady hand resting on her arm. She couldn't speak much, but the tears that slipped down her cheeks told them everything. She knew she wasn't alone. The news of her recovery spread like wildfire, and when she returned to the school months later, walking slowly but determinedly, she was met with a sight that brought her to her knees. The entire front lawn was filled with students, parents, and bikers from the local Veterans Club, holding signs that read, "Justice for Emily," and "No more silence." The school board had no choice but to act. Policies changed, staff were replaced, and for the first time in years, accountability became real. The bullies faced consequences, not just punishment, but rehabilitation programs that forced them to understand the damage they caused. The school itself was transformed, not by laws or rules, but by the voice of a mother who refused to be silent and a veteran father who refused to let fear win. And to the viewers watching right now, remember this: silence feeds injustice. When you see someone being hurt, when you see someone being ignored, you have a choice: walk away or stand up. Jack chose to stand. Margaret chose to fight. Emily chose to keep believing in tomorrow. And together, they proved that one act of courage can change an entire community. If this story moved you, if it reminded you of the power of standing for what's right, then don't just sit back. Hit that like button, share this video with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to our channel so you never miss stories that inspire and remind us what it truly means to be human. Because the next fight for justice might be in your school, your town, or even your own home. And when it comes, may you find the courage to stand tall, just like Jack, Margaret, and Emily.